I think that we are live now. Welcome. I'm going to give everyone just a few minutes to rejoin. I'm Jennifer Hopp, and I am here in sunny San Francisco. As people are logging on, go ahead and tell us in the chat stream where you are viewing from. It's always interesting to see people logging in from around the world, and of course that is really the point. We are using live streaming as a way to connect more startups and aspiring entrepreneurs from around the world with investors and experienced entrepreneurs. So we would love to hear where you're from, and I will attempt to look at these. We've got a Salt Lake City and an Atlanta, Georgia. So people are starting to log in. If you are in the audience and you are not an investor or an entrepreneur, please still join in, log in, ask your questions, provide feedback. It's incredibly helpful to the startups to hear from people who may be potential customers and just your opinions about their product, which actually is another really good point. Until now, we've kind of kept this a little bit quiet. It's just been the startups that are presenting and the guest investor, myself, and then maybe a few people who have happened to find out about it joining in, and we kind of did that on purpose to test things out and see how it worked and do a lot of technical testing. But right now we're at a point where we think that this is moving along, and the feedback is we want the audience to be bigger. So I will start telling the world about it. We'll be doing some sharing on social media. I'll set up a website at jenniferphop.com. Right now that just directs to an About Me page, but in the next couple of days it will be a site where there'll be more information about what we're doing in this project and how you can get involved. So we will be starting to share it a little bit, and we'll be asking all of you to share it as well, so we can really grow this audience into a very collaborative community, and it's helpful to our startups and our investors. Today we'll be doing a pitch session, and there will be additional formats. The three formats: pitch, share, and hash. So pitch is what you know. It's three companies come on, guest investor, myself, and any investors in the audience. And it's really been a great time both for the startups to ask questions and feedback on the investors, but also, like I said, the audience. And in every case so far, and we've done, this is now, I think, our fifth one, the investors have been extremely willing to meet up with the startups after the pitch session and follow up with them. If they are not the right person for their startup, they are extraordinarily well connected here in the Valley and have been very willing to get them in front of other investors who may be more appropriate, as well as to help them figure out what they need to do to get ready to be put in front of other investors. So it's really turned out that this platform has been a foot in the door in Silicon Valley, which is exactly what we were hoping for, and everyone has been extremely helpful with that. So that's pitch. Share is going to be coffee talks, aka fireside chats with experienced entrepreneurs. We'll be focused on specific topics: FDA approval process, how to get into Whole Foods, how to be featured in the Apple Store, setting your pricing strategy, different things that experienced entrepreneurs have overcome. So that will be share sessions, and the last session is a hash session. It's not what you think. The hash sessions are sort of an open mic session where we'll let anyone in the audience ask to be guests, and they can share with us a business idea. Myself and some other investors and experienced entrepreneurs will help you hash out the idea. We will brainstorm together to figure out, is this a good idea? How do we validate it? Who else is in the market? It's a great opportunity if you think you have an idea but you're not sure. You can definitely do a hash session. So please, if you're interested in pitch, share, or hash, send me an email. It's a new email address. You ready? It's hello@jenniferphop.com. So send me an email at hello@jenniferphop.com, and let me know in the subject if you're interested in pitch, share, or hash, or anything else. Okay, so I think I've stalled long enough. It looks like we have our pitching companies are all on board here. And you can go ahead and add yourself as a guest. That kind of tells me you're ready to be a guest, and it puts you in the guest stream. I can see if I can find you. A lot of times, even if you're here, especially if your name is not obvious, I won't know which company you're from, especially if you've got, like I said, an interesting username. So please go ahead and add yourself in the guest stream, or you can tell me in the chat stream that you are here. So first up, I'm going to go ahead and guest our guest. This is an interesting concept. You know, people say guest them when you add them as a guest. So I will guest Laura, who is our guest investor today from Canaan Ventures, and she will give us a little bit of background about herself and her company. While she's doing that, side prize, OGO, and tourist, please get ready. And we have an alternate too if one of those is not going to be working. So Laura, with all of that, I am going to now guest you. It's inviting you. It always takes a minute to connect. But we just practiced this, so I know it's going to be perfect. I'm going to flip back over here to the chat stream. All right. Even though we practiced this just a moment ago, it didn't work this time. Laura, could you please check your connection and make sure that you have a strong connection? I'm going to try it one more time here. It's attempting to invite Laura, and I need to think of like more jokes or something to tell during this time. Maybe I should do the announcements during the guesting time, or while it's connecting time. It is not letting Laura guest at the moment. What I may do is I have Laura's bio. I may read a little bit of that, or you can check it out yourself. But Laura Chau is coming to us from Canaan Ventures. I keep calling it Ventures. I apologize. Canaan Partners. One more try. You know, every time we do this, we think that we've battled all of the snafus, but it is live streaming, so that might be impossible. There we go. Now I have you. You're live now. I see you, Laura.
Hi. Okay, I
finally got it to work. I'm sorry about that.
No problem.
But we are here now.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you and I can see you.
Okay, I can't see you.
Can you see yourself?
I cannot.
Okay, we can see you. Or I can. Can others in the chat stream give a little feedback to Laura and let her know if they can see and hear her, or if you can see and hear me? It's really helpful when we have the feedback. Okay, yes, people can see and hear. So if you're comfortable, go ahead and start and just know that we can see and hear you.
Okay, as long as it's not an issue for any of the pitches. So, hi guys, my name is Laura Chau. I'm an investor at Canaan Partners. Canaan is an early stage investment firm based in Menlo Park, California, as well as Manhattan. We are a $675 million fund, investing out of our 10th fund. We've been around for 30 years. We are a hybrid fund, so 1/3 of our practice is healthcare, 2/3 is tech. I'm on our tech side. Within tech, we're very broad, about 50-50 enterprise consumer. In the past, we were investors in companies like DoubleClick, Match.com, SuccessFactors. More recently, we're investors in Lending Club, which had a big IPO in 2014. A number of marketplace companies like Washio, Relay Rides, and the like. So that's us. We're seed through Series B investors. Typical check size for us for a seed would be 500K to 2 million. Less on the angel side, but we definitely love talking to some early stage companies.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. We're so happy to have you, and thank you for joining us from your conference. And I will now drop you and add on our first startup. All right, great. So I know that we've got some folks ready to go in the chat stream here, and I'm going to first bring on Side Prize. It's connecting. Great. Welcome.
How's it going, Jennifer?
It's going well. How are you doing? Go ahead and introduce yourself, Adam, and tell everyone about your company.
Sure thing. So Adam Wexler from Atlanta, Georgia. Been in the tech game for now 10 years. I'm on my third startup here. As you mentioned, the newest one is called Side Prize. And I'm happy to get into it here in a second.
Please, go for it. Go ahead and take 2 to 4 minutes and just run through an elevator pitch for us.
In the nature of the live stream, as we were talking about before we got on here, I'm going to go ahead and try to hold up my cell phone if it can actually see it. Oh, there we go. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and narrate along the way. Bear with me here. So I figured I'd start off with a memorable image that most of us are probably familiar with from the 90s. But basically, when it comes down to collecting money, if it involves a lot of money or it involves a lot of people or even strangers, it is often a bit of a pain in the ass. So essentially where Side Prize comes into play is we've hooked in with all these different payment processors as well as different gaming data sources. And what we essentially do in skill-based games is we monitor these contests and then we distribute the winnings accordingly. So exactly why is that necessary in a world with Venmo already to date? Well, Venmo is great when it comes to collecting from friends, or at least that's become the default solution. But when it comes to really monitoring a contest and collecting from friends and or strangers without any problem, you got to have an escrow service to really ensure that you're going to get your winnings at the end of the day, and that's exactly where Side Prize comes into play. Usually I can see my deck while I'm describing it, but I'm going off of memory here and just a visual.
Yep, you're doing a good job.
So just like Venmo has created a big time marketplace in the mobile payment space, so has Uber, obviously in transportation, Tinder in the dating world. But when it comes to legal wagering, nobody has really stepped to the forefront of that big opportunity, and that's exactly where Side Prize is positioned to come in and take advantage. So to that end, we are the platform for raising the stakes. So to a lot of people's surprise, wagering on your own performance in any one of these different sports and contests is legal in most U.S. states. And when it comes to the epicenter of where we're operating, we're talking the mobile payments world, which by 2019 they're predicting will be a $210 billion industry just in the U.S. alone. And then illegal gambling by itself in the U.S. is a $400 billion industry, according to the NBA commissioner. But as I said, we're focused on the skill-based wagering side of things that we can facilitate. So in terms of where we are in the grand scheme of things, you've got your typical payments companies. Venmo, PayPal is some of your options, but they're not custom fitted. They're not custom suited for anything. And then at least where we're operating, there's only 2 other companies that are doing anything like Side Prize in the middle of this right here, and they're focused specifically on a Side Prize like solution within the video gaming space, whereas our first vertical of focus is in the fantasy sports place, which contrary to a lot of people's belief is a phenomenal place from a consumer demand standpoint. And when the new numbers come out in a month, they'll be through the roof. And we think now is the best time for us to operate because we have one of the lowest risk profiles of anybody in the space. And we just recently commissioned the former Attorney General of Maryland to verify that for us. And then ultimately where we're going towards is essentially Betfair is a massive operation out of the UK. But we're doing the legal form of that in the United States, and we think that that leads to a very big opportunity. So in terms of our existing product, we actually launched last season with a fantasy football product. And then where we went from there was it was all about, being able to collect money from friends in your league as well as challenge others, on a weekly basis to see who is going to do better than each other. Where it's going from here, though, is the ability to challenge anyone throughout our entire ecosystem, using your team. And that goes beyond just fantasy sports. Think in terms of a bowling alley. Jennifer, you're out in San Francisco. I'm in Atlanta. If I wanted to play you, Side Prize will ultimately be able to facilitate those kind of interactions and ensure that, as we say, the winners get paid and the friendships get saved.
Nice.
Just within the own fantasy category, we've actually won a number of awards, including Rookie of the Year in January of 2016. Despite obviously what a lot of people have heard going on with FanDuel and DraftKings, our own industry peers recognize that we may be on the verge of something very big. We also participated in the first ever Sports and Technology Accelerator out in Los Angeles this past fall. And then in terms of the team, like I said, I've been in the tech space for 10 years. This is my third web startup. My last one is a 50-person enterprise social media SaaS company out of Atlanta. I also, in between that one and this one, consulted for the Atlanta Hawks on their digital strategy during their record-breaking season. We've got some great investors and advisors across the board. I won't get into any one of them specifically, but in terms of where we're at right now, we're about to kick off a fundraise here pretty soon. We've already raised about $500,000 to date. We're about to go out and raise another $500,000. Main goal of this year is to prove the business model. We've got very educated hypotheses heading into this fall. We're building the mobile app. We had to build a web app out of the gates in order for two parties to get together, especially in case of having an iOS and an Android phone on each side. And then where we're headed next year is to scale the business model once we really kind of hone in on what our numbers are and our metrics, and then expand to all the other verticals that we think we can tackle. That's my story.
Awesome. So you mentioned that you're working it out so that iPhone and Android can work together. Right now it's just on iPhone?
So it's a mobile-friendly web application at the moment. What I was alluding to is that in order to bring two parties together, it was a race against the clock for us last fall. Fantasy football is a very big part of the fantasy sports ecosystem. And in order to get our product out the door, we had to build something that was compatible for everyone. And then in terms of what we're building this year, we're primarily focused on an iOS app. We may get to an Android app in season, but definitely going to get the iOS app before the season.
Perfect. So just to summarize, this is a platform that enables people to place bets against others around the world on different things, but those things are dependent on legalities. And so you touched on it in terms of what you were saying people could bet on, but for those who don't know about gambling, what's legal and what isn't, can you draw the distinction for us between when it becomes legal and illegal? It's that idea of games of skill, and not everyone is familiar with it, so that would be helpful, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. I'll preface this by saying I'm no lawyer, so I'm going to do my best attempt.
Yeah, exactly.
But when you have the ability to control the outcome, it is often considered a skill-based contest, and there's obviously a lot of sports that can relate to that. It could be anything from the golf course, where probably this is the most common use case. One of the reasons that we've decided not to focus on the golf vertical out of the gates is because you don't have the chip technology tracking the balls where we could tie into that data source to know who the winners and the losers are. We would depend on manual inputs. As well as, on the golf course, it's often, we're not yet a cashless society, especially on the golf course. People love to just exchange money. But in the case of, of the fantasy sports vertical, for example, we can tie in with all of these season-long fantasy providers. Everybody knows of Yahoo and ESPN, for example. We've got integrations built out with all these guys. And then as we expand into other verticals, such as, bowling, we'll tie in with all the bowling alleys in order to actually, get in and be able to monitor those contests and then distribute the winnings accordingly. And as I mentioned earlier, we're just an escrow service at the end of the day. We're just this we augment the actual experience, and we're just this third party that's making sure that, the winners are getting paid at the end of the day.
But you're more than an escrow service, because you're enabling people to come together ahead of the actual bet. So you're providing them opportunities. And then does the app also give them ideas about things where they can place bets on? I want to bet on this particular activity, and then when it expands to friends and choose your friends that you're going to ping and challenge. Walk us through the use case of the app a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, where we're at right now is that, like I mentioned, we're focused on the fantasy sports vertical. We actually believe that this is a great time to be focused on that, especially when a lot of others are struggling with some legal concerns. Like I said, we had the former Maryland Attorney General just very recently write up a legal opinion that, confirms that it would take an overzealous Attorney General to want to target a company like SidePrize, because at the end of the day, we're not the fantasy sports operator, which is a lot of where the attention is going, and specifically, even more specifically, within the daily fantasy category. At the end of the day, we're just this kind of intermediary application. Think, like I gave some examples about, Venmo bringing two parties together, and Uber and Tinder. Just like Venmo's arguing that these people that use Uber's arguing that these people that use their application are not their employees. I mean, we would make a similar argument that we're just bringing folks together that otherwise would not have found each other. So I think, Jennifer, just to answer your question directly, though, is you have to be within the, wherever the integration lies. So in the case of, whether it's bringing Yahoo fantasy players together, ESPN fantasy players together, bowling people, with bowling alleys that, we've tied into those data sources.
Got it. Yeah, and I think you had mentioned that before, the data being important, because then you can validate who the winners and losers are. And that on a friendly basis, though, that might not be as important, which we discussed prior. I had given an example, this was off camera, where I wanted to be able to challenge my brother, per se, and presumably he's good for it. I don't know. We'll ask him. But also, if we do something similar to this, where it's live streaming and it's live, I can see whether or not he made the shot, right? Mm-hmm. So if I'm challenging him to something real time, then the data isn't as important, but that scaling is more difficult. Even though it's more social, it's more difficult model to scale, which is why I understand why you're going after those markets that have the data, and I think it's awesome. So we do have a question from Chad. Can you double tap two devices together to bet? Would that be useful? He's interested in sort of a cross-platform.
We haven't really gone to the. I would say that the contests that we're facilitating right now are like virtual contests. We're bringing together people that are not in the same setting, and more than anything, where we're going with this is trying to bring people together that in reality are strangers, and they would love to raise the stakes, but they have no means of doing so. And we're bringing these two parties together that really want to be that much more entertained and really have something riding on the line. And obviously, we're attacking it from one vertical at a time perspective, and then really just trying to scale in the proper fashion.
And you may have mentioned this, and I think you had a slide on it, so I know you mentioned it, how big the fantasy sports area is. This is really a great place to start because the data is there, a lot of people are involved, and you can connect people to strangers. So how big is this fantasy sports, and which are the big? I assume it's football and basketball and soccer. Maybe there are other sports that we don't think of in fantasy sports.
Yeah, fantasy football is dramatically bigger than the other fantasy sports, but baseball is number 2. Fantasy basketball is number 3. But yeah, I mean, the numbers are what's funny is in the press, a lot of the attention has been, on the limelight has been on FanDuel and DraftKings. And obviously from a consumer standpoint, everybody became well aware of them last year, but then the press has been very negative over the last, 6 months or so. It's starting to shift. The tide's starting to shift a little bit, but the newest numbers are going to come out next month. And what I can tell you is, from 2014 to 2015, the number of fantasy players jumped from 41 million in North America to 57 million. My personal prediction is that it's going to be even a bigger jump this coming year. So I'm saying ballpark 75 million when the new numbers come out. So it's a lot of people. We particularly attach ourselves to the season-long format, the traditional format that's a part of social fabric. And as I continue to mention, it's all about kind of raising the stakes, in this case, in the fantasy leagues and beyond that.
Great. And Quentin is asking about other markets. Have you looked at Asia in particular? Was his question?
Yeah, the world is potentially our oyster. I think we got a big idea on our hands, and I think we can go in a lot of different directions. I'll tell you, when the U.S. was facing when all the stuff was swirling around, the fantasy category and the legality surrounding it, we definitely took a step back and said, do we want to, focus on fantasy in other markets, such as, UK and Europe for that matter, with soccer probably being the primary focus then? Or do we want to go to other verticals even and just remove ourselves entirely from fantasy? But ultimately, we actually think that the legal, madness that is kind of around us is an advantage to us. Like I said, we could make a strong argument for now being the best time for side prize to enter the New York market, while people like players that were previously playing on FanDuel and DraftKings are looking for some extra incitement, and we can provide that.
Great. And tell us again when you launched and what the number of users is looking like right now. And I know it's seasonal, but
yeah.
Give us
So it's funny, and I hate to say that there's asterisks associated, but we launched last football season, and literally 3 weeks after we launched, that's when the first big DraftKings insider trading story broke, and we honestly didn't know how that related to us, and it was just, we were very kind of hesitant to get the word out, and we just decided to stop all marketing spend and kind of fly under the radar. So we never, to that end, unfortunately, got a chance to really kind of launch per se, but we were able to gather, some thousands of users that we were able to learn a lot from, and once the dust settled a great deal over the last 6 months, then we have a clear path forward, and basically everything that we plan to do this coming fall for fantasy football, which we're already, gearing a lot of our attention towards, is based off of everything that we learned last year. And that's where I say we're trying to just really prove the business model we've got now. It's more than just hypotheses. It's educated hypotheses built off of data from last year that we're going to go prove at relative scale this year, and then really scale it out and expand beyond fantasy next year.
Awesome. And I could chat with you all day about this because I think it's pretty exciting, and I love the sports and entertainment space. But I suppose I should let others on. Do you have questions for our audience and a question for our investor? We're going to bring her on at the end to answer the questions. But for right now, if you want to ask the audience some questions and they can answer in the chat stream, is there anything you'd like to get their opinion?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably more of a statement. I probably reiterate, everything I've probably mentioned about the fantasy space, which is, the consumer numbers are through the roof. And the fact that a lot of, the investment community was spooked based on what happened is, somewhat ironic right now, but I completely understand it. I think we have one of the best abilities to really kind of, penetrate that market at what a lot of people would think is the wrong time. So I guess what I would ask everyone is if you know anybody that loves to play fantasy sports and really loves to raise the stakes as well, please let them know about Side Prize, and I would love to please tell me anybody that we should talk to. We're building a database of fantasy leagues and commissioners, and we definitely are bringing them on one at a time.
Perfect. So if you have information about people that Adam should talk to, please go ahead and put that in the chat stream. Or how do they get in touch with you, Adam?
Yeah, it's just Adam at sideprize.com, and I'm pretty good with email.
Perfect. So now we know. Check it out at sideprice.com. Send Adam a note. Put in the chat stream. You can continue the conversation on my email wall as well. Thanks so much, Adam. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Jennifer.
All right, perfect. That was awesome. Exciting stuff. We're going to move right along here, and I'm going to bring on, I'm finding the link slowly, bringing on OGO next. Let me see if I could find you in the stream here. It's not in the stream. Do we have either Mason from OGO or Martin from Tourist on? If you could either add yourself as a guest or put yourself in the chat stream, tell me that you're here. It looks like OGO has dropped, and I'm looking for OGO, Mason from OGO, and Martin from Tourist. All right. I'm not seeing either of you. So this is where we go to, I'm going to let me first check and make sure people can hear me. So if you can see and hear me, please let me know. Make sure that I haven't dropped and talking to myself. So this will be the first time that we didn't have the startups ready. A new issue. All right. I'm going to ask one more time that Mason or Martin, please let me know that you're here and in the audience, and I can bring you on. They were in our testing session, so I know they're around, but you're not logged in, so you may have dropped. So if you can see this, you aren't logged in, Mason and Martin. So if you can see this, you're not logged in. I need you to log in so I can bring you on for your pitch. All right, we are going to go to an alternate that we have lined up. So if you're in the audience and you were selected as an alternate to pitch, can you please let me know in the chat stream that you are here and that you are ready to go? And even if you just want to pitch your idea, I told you at the beginning of this project that if there were ever no shows or we had issues, I would just pull someone from the audience. So if you have a startup and you want to talk to myself and Laura and other investors about it, please come on, raise your hand in the chat stream, say you're ready to go, and I will bring you on as a guest. Okay, yay, OGO is here. So I am going to bring OGO on, and while it's connecting, all right, Mason, it doesn't look like your signal is strong enough. I'm going to roll your video. If you could please put yourself in the guest stream, click on the guest tab, request to be a guest, check your signal. While you're doing that, I'm going to roll your video.
OGO is a new innovative mobile application based on a green, yellow, and red color patterns. After a user has set up their profile page with basic information, they are ready to go. OGO does the work for you. It's a tool that you can use when you want and how you want, anytime or any place. Let me explain just how simple and convenient OGO is. The green OGO sends your location along with a personal message to any of your contacts on your mobile device. The total number of recipients is up to you. The yellow OGO sends your immediate location, and the red sends your location, a personal message, and an emergency alert tone that lets your friends and family know where you are and how you are, whenever you want and however you want. But that's not all. Slide right to access the OGO emergency settings. At the simple push of a button, you will have direct access to the closest hospital, police, and fire services in your immediate area. OGO is great for couples and young adults when out together, and it's a great way for kids to check in with their parents after school and on weekends. OGO is a great tool for teens and young adults at music festivals and other venues, providing a new way for friends to link up and check in with one another if they become separated or when the music is just too loud. And those who travel in their work can easily check in with their loved ones on those late-night arrivals and early morning departures through the push of a button. OGO is designed to be understood easily by all ages. It is universal safety and communication in your pocket. OGO supports safe driving. Don't drink and drive. If you need a ride, let your friends know where you are by sending them an OGO. Available for download on the App Store and Google Play Store. Coming soon to a smart device near you.
Awesome. I think the video played well. Let me know in the chat stream if you saw it and heard it. And now I'm going to bring on Mason. It's connecting.
Hi, can you hear me?
There we are.
Can you see me?
So I was able to hear and see the video, but I had it on my lap right in front of me. So if others, were you able to see it and hear it through you now? Mason, were you able to see the video?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you? It sounds like you're not able to hear me.
Yep, yeah, okay, I think it's working now. Hey, how's everyone doing? Am I echoing? Am I there?
Nope, you're perfect. I can see you.
Right.
I can hear you. Did the video play okay for you?
Yeah, I saw it. It was good. A little echoey, but it worked pretty well. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Great.
All right, well, my name's Mason. I'm the founder of OGO. Originally, OGO stood for Operation Get Out. I'm a former United States Marine. Me and another Marine came up with the idea when we were overseas in Afghanistan, standing post. It was another way to not fall asleep. We were talking about ideas we had, what we wanted to do. It was originally a human trafficking nonprofit, hence the green, yellow, and red. We were trying to start a nonprofit organization to help put an end to human trafficking, child trafficking. A lot of people don't know that there are there's actually more child soldiers in Africa than there are United States Marines in the whole Marine Corps. So that was something that really bothered us when we were over there. One thing led to another. My background's in the film and television industry, post-Marine Corps, and we decided to make OGO an app. It recently launched internationally on the Google Play and the App Store about a week and a half ago. I personally funded everything, so we had a 0% loss at launch. We are available to download today for free on the App Store and Google Play Store. And we're currently seeking investments to further our global marketing campaign, as well as adding a few new features. We're working on different wearable tech. OGO hits 3 major markets. It hits your communication market, your security market, and your GPS location market. So if you think about Netflix makes their own content. They also produce other content. We're currently patent pending with the USPTO. And what we're trying to do is link up with Garmin at the moment. We have contracts with the YMCA, the Miracle League, other family-oriented kind of child safety, youth organization kind of nonprofits right now as an add-on purchase. Right now, everything's free. We're kind of mimicking Snapchat and Tinder's style of doing things. Once we get the amount of users we feel are necessary, we're going to add a few in-app purchases, such as the yellow, actually acting like a GPS. You'll be able to save your locations. You'll be able to access them periodically whenever you want, kind of like a checkpoint. Also, the red OGO and the emergency features will have direct access to emergency personnel similar to OnStar. Other than that, we just launched about a week ago. We're very excited. I was able to fund everything. So again, the company has the 0% loss at launch. OGO is universal safety and communication in your pocket. It's a Swiss Army knife. You can use it how you want and when you want, and it lets your friends and family know where you are and how you are. You can use it for security purposes if you're in trouble, if you need help. If you're an artist or you're in a band or you're, let's say, a stand-up comedian, you go on at 5 o'clock on this location. You can use it to send out invites, and because it automatically syncs up to your contacts. So it's really it's a universal app. Right now, we're currently located in Los Angeles, California, Houston, Texas, and we're building a new location here in Austin. I'm currently in San Antonio, so excuse the bad connection. I'm hopping from point A to point B right now, about to build moving the headquarters to Austin. Can you guys hear me okay? I'm coming in and out horrible right now.
We can hear you just great, and we're going to start asking a few questions. So you said you just launched about how long ago was that, and what does the user base look like?
We launched about 7 days ago, and in the first 3 days, we received over 200 users, just word of mouth only. However, since then, I've made the strong call to we haven't really pushed it anymore due to lack of funding, I guess. We have a global market, and right now we are actually meeting with 2 other investors after this phone call. Once we get the necessary funds, we'll be able to push it globally. My background's in the film and television industry also. I'm an award-winning filmmaker, award-winning producer. I've worked with Academy Award-winning actors, directors, producers. I've done hundreds of union and non-union commercials, feature films. I was at the Academy Awards in 2012. So as far as making our commercials, that's something we're also in the middle of doing right now. We were interviewed by the Wall Street Select, Google News, Travel Weekly, Daily News Los Angeles.
Those were all, sorry for interjecting, those were all before launching?
Those were all done before launching, yes, absolutely.
And then now you're on which platform?
We're on the Google Play and the App Store. And we'll also be on the Apple Watch here in the next couple weeks as well. Or about the next 30 days or so.
And it sounds like you've got some good connections for that marketing once you get your plan in place and you're working on the marketing.
Oh, yeah. We also have the quarterback of the Oakland Raiders, Derek Carr, is going to be helping us with this, along with his brother David. They're my second cousins, so it's kind of a plus, I guess. But they're going to be helping us out as kind of a celebrity advocate to the company. They both have families. It's a great way for them to communicate with their families when they're on the road, traveling different places, playing the game. But right now we're we're raising funds to actually build our own wearable tech. The colors green, yellow, and red are universally understood all over the world. So, and really up until the last month, it's kind of just been me running this show. I have my partners now, Chris Moran and Joshua Ewing. Josh was also in the military with me. He's on this right now. I believe I can see their comments on the chat. We're in the middle of doing the prototypes right now. We have the basic foundation laid out. We're building our wearable tech, and we are going to be reaching out to different government contracts for the software of green, yellow, and red, your location, along with a personal message, which is what we'll be using as kind of the necessary middleman.
Nice.
Our developers are located in the Silicon Valley also. Appster, some of the best developers there are. The CFO of PayPal recently came over there. The former chief marketing exec of Microsoft also came over there. You said you were in the San Francisco area too, right?
Yes.
Awesome.
So how does this differ from other social media platforms?
It's more location based. Excuse me. Not really social media. We're working on the OGO wallet card right now, which is strictly tracking, security, and safety. As far as social media goes, this is kind of an app you use when you want and how you want. You might use it 8 times in one day. You might use it 10 times in one day. You might not use it at all one day. But it's there for you. It's universal safety and communication in your pocket.
Whereas a check-in on Facebook would tell everybody where you are. This is really a one-to-one or one-to-many, but you select a private.
Absolutely. Phase 2 of our, the next phase 2 for us will be we're opening the OGO Society. We have some developers up in the Silicon Valley now working on our website. It'll be a live feed. It's called the OGO Society or OGO Society. That's going to be where you can basically share your location, and that's going to be more of a social networking platform. However, right now we're focusing more on just the app, security, and wearable tech based on funding. We get the funding we need, then we can also move into the social networking game. But right now we're targeting primarily police, hospitals, child safety advocates, different nonprofit organizations, and we'll be working with Save the Children as well over there. Not Save the Children US, Save the Children UK. So we'll be branching off into England soon as well.
So Laura and I have the same question. I was just about to ask about competitors in the space. I know AT&T had a family map app that tried to do the same thing. It wasn't very effective, I know, because I tried it. But that was several years ago. It may be better now. And then I know that there were several others that have come and gone over the years. Life 360 had a similar app. Who do you consider your competitors, and how are you different?
Well, our color-coded pattern, the green, yellow, and red emergency, we have the pattern for that, and that really separates us. The green, yellow, and red color codes are universally understood. OGO was designed for 8-year-olds all the way up to 80-year-olds, and our main competitors would be Life Alert. But Life Alert is a monthly fee. It costs you about $20 a month, and it can only work inside a certain radius. For instance, my grandma has it. But if she goes too far outside her house and she falls and touches the button, it won't necessarily work. I'm from Texas. Me and my family have property in the boondocks of the boondocks. And I was sending my dad OGOs by our family farm. When I was in the city of Houston, he was out in the country doing some work on the farm, and he received them. We use push notifications, not text messaging. And like I said, it's Life 360, Find My Friends, Life Alert. They're all primarily a security-based app for emergencies only. What separates OGO from everything is our patented green, yellow, and red operating system. And that allows you to use it to invite friends if you're a musician or in a band to your showcase. You can use it if you need a ride. You know, it's a lot easier than dropping a pin. It does everything for you by the push of a button. And there's not an annual prescription. You're not paying $30 a month or $20 a month. It's really an app you can use when you want and how you want. So as far as our competitors go, we roll everything into one, and we simplify it with colors instead of text, verbal communication, all by the touch of a button. The color green symbolizes good, everything's okay, yes, things we've learned since we were 3. The traffic light colors are the same overseas as well. People know that green is good, yellow is caution, 50-50, and red is danger, alert, emergency.
Got it. So can you walk, you said 2 things that are interesting. One is you're not paying a monthly fee, so I want to know about your monetization strategy. And 2, could you walk us through the use case if I'm a band and I want to invite you to an event? How does that work? It seems I thought this was mostly
absolutely. If you're in a band or you're in an office or whatever the case is, you want to send out invites. OGO automatically syncs up to all your contacts. So using the green OGO, you'll be able to send a message along with your personal location. So you could type in the message box, I go on at 5 p.m. at this location, come through the back door, use this, this, and this, and you can basically send it out to everybody. Oh, you just got to have their phone number. So you can use it as sending out mass invites. And you can acknowledge, let's say I send you a green OGO saying, hey, I'm going on at 5 o'clock at this location. All you have to do is touch the acknowledge button, and it's going to there's a little gray tick that's going to turn green that's going to showcase you acknowledge my message. You don't actually have to reply. You can just touch the acknowledge button, and it's basically a check off saying, all right, Jennifer's in, check. As far as monetization goes, advertising is going to be, excuse me?
Sorry, that's okay. There's a delay. So I was just interjecting and saying it's a one-tap communication. I send it out, you tap back, and it's very quick and efficient. I like that.
Absolutely. If you wanted to respond, you could respond with the message, but you know, there's sometimes I don't feel like talking. I just want to touch acknowledge, and then a little drop down is going to come on the phone saying Jennifer acknowledged your message, and there's going to be a little green tick next to your name. So I know Jennifer. I know you're coming, or I know you at least acknowledged the message that you received it. The red OGO sends an alert tone. It's like a customized Amber Alert. So you can send your message, a location, along with an emergency alert tone, but it's really a personalized and customized Amber Alert that you can send out to anybody. You can use it for emergencies. I used it to wake up my girlfriend the other day when I was locked out of the house, and it woke her up. So.
What is there's a use case we hadn't thought of, but it seems to have worked. What is the monetization strategy? How do you make money?
We're going to be monetizing off advertising. That's one of the big things we're going to do along with our wearable tech. The OGO app, the reason I'm keeping it free for now is to kind of spread the word of OGO. We also have the OGO Outdoors, which we're in the middle of working on, which is strictly for hiking and camping. That will be charged for to use that one. We also have the OGO Task and the OGO Business that are currently in early stages of development. The next one coming out will be the OGO Outdoors. Operates the same, green, yellow, and red. That one will cost money. The OGO Society will be monetizing off advertising, big data, lead generation, along with certain in-app features, in-app purchases, like I was saying earlier, too.
Okay, perfect. And so I'm going to go ahead and bring our guest investor back on to give some feedback and comments. Do you have any questions for the audience or for our guest investor?
Not at this time. Everything was kind of cutting in and out earlier for me. It's hard to get, but I think we're through now.
Okay, so no questions that you'd like to ask the audience?
Does anyone have any questions for me?
They've been asking their questions in the chat stream, and you can take a look at those. I think you've answered most of them. All right, I'm going to go ahead and end the session and let our guest investor come back on. Hopefully, we're experiencing.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having us on here, Jennifer.
Thanks so much, and we really appreciate it. You coming on, and it's exciting stuff. It's brand new, so I look forward to hearing how it takes off in the next couple of weeks here as it gets going. Great job.
Thank you.
All right, thank you to OGO. That's another incredibly fascinating story of how they came about thinking about this product. I'm now bringing Laura back on. It's connecting.
Hi there, can you hear me?
Laura. Yes, I can hear you. How are you doing?
Good.
I'm just going to bring you back on and see if you had any feedback and advice for our two startups. They're very different and also in different stages of development.
Yeah, so I apologize. I missed most of the pitch for SidePrize, was able to come in for some of the questions. So understand the space broadly, but if any of my comments were covered, I apologize for that. For SidePrize in particular, I think it's a really interesting area. There's obviously been a lot of growth in fantasy sports, especially fantasy esports lately. I'm not sure if that is a future focus of SidePrize, but could be something where, from the investment standpoint, we're seeing a lot of growth and interest. You talked about the regulations and a lot of the issues that have come up over the past year, and I think he's right in that has scared off investors. I think there's still an open question of what the regulations will be and how that will pan out. I still think there are massive businesses to be made in this area, and so I think SidePrize is definitely really interesting in that regard.
Great, and again, with the technical issues and everything, I can connect you with Adam afterward
Okay.
if you both are interested in speaking with each other, so that he can fill you in on those parts that were missed, as well as this is going to be live on the wall, so you can actually review his pitch and these comments, and then you guys can continue to have the conversation either on the email wall or I will connect you via email.
Great. And then for OGO, I think it's a really commendable application with a wonderful genesis story. I love that came from his experience in the Marines and the nonprofit that he was working on. I think the biggest question for me, and it's very early days for the app since it just launched a week ago, the question would be around customer acquisition and how their growth model will be to acquire users and make sure engagement stays really high over the lifetime of those users. I have seen a few companies in this space that are around personal safety. I think we talked about a few of them earlier, but I would really just think about the types of features and capabilities, whether that's integrations with emergency response or becoming more of a central messaging app where people live and breathe every day, so that it's something that people are constantly thinking about and engaged with, and driving more people to download the app early on.
All very helpful comments too. And I have seen things in the past and have used certain things in the past that are similar to OGO. I do think that there is something different with regard to the user friendliness, and so I'm looking forward to downloading it myself and checking it out. And again, as you said, very, very early stages, and so we'll be watching that carefully. One thing I don't know, OGO, if you said to us, and be sure to put it in the chat stream and mark it on my wall, is where you are in the fundraising process, how much you've raised, and what you're looking to raise going forward. We'd be interested in hearing that, of course. Again, if this ends and it's not in the chat stream is not saved when we save the video. The video is saved, but the chat stream isn't. So anything that I didn't read aloud is not saved in the video. So go ahead and mark those on our wall, and we can get back to you with additional questions. Thank you so much, Laura, for joining us. We appreciate you taking the time, and we will definitely do this again. You've been extraordinarily helpful.
And thanks to OGO and SidePrize. Thank you, guys.
Have a great day. All right, everyone. So that concludes another session. As always, we find additional issues, but it is live streaming and not live TV, as I like to say. So there are glitches and slowdowns and dropped communication for The startup that wasn't able to connect today, we will have you on at another time, no problem. Again, repeating for those who are just coming on and didn't hear at the beginning, we will be doing several formats, pitches, hashes, which are open mic sessions to discuss ideas and brainstorm, as well as sharing, which is fireside chats. If you're interested in being involved in any way, please send me an email at hello@jenniferphop.com. I will also be putting up a site at jenniferphop.com. And within the next few days, maybe next week, we're going to start actually expanding this beyond just our small little group of investors and companies that are pitching, and begin sharing it so that we can grow the audience, and we'll be asking for your help with that. The reason being, it's incredibly helpful to our startups to have an audience to speak to and to ask questions about their product and features and to give feedback. So we'll be expanding this now to a broader audience as time goes on. If you've been involved in these first few sessions, we thank you. You are our alpha testers, and you have helped us to find a lot of the bugs and glitches and fix them. And it will get smoother, but it will stay live streaming, which is always just a little clunky. Again, continue to have conversations on my wall, or send me an email. hello@jenniferphop.com, or you can find me just about anywhere on social media at jenniferphop. So thank you, everyone. Have a lovely afternoon or evening, depending on where you're coming from. Good night.